In the darkness, even whispers carry weight. We all have shadows, but some run deeper than we can imagine. Jason Voorhees, a name that evokes fear and legend, is synonymous with horror. His story, marked by tragedy and revenge, is known by many, but few understand the truth behind the myth. Yet behind the mask and the legend lies a pain that has been forgotten until now. That's what we'll uncover in today's video on The Bad Dream. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video. Jason Voorhees was born in a small cabin by the lake, far from the world's attention. He was an awkward child, with a body that didn't conform to the norms of his peers. His deformed face made him an easy target for bullying. Other boys, led by Greg, delighted in making him the butt of their jokes. "Look, it's the monster of the lake," they shouted, laughing as Jason became the living punchline. Pamela, his mother, was his only protector, but her love was suffocating. She viewed the world as a hostile place, where every laugh was a sharp knife. In her attempts to shield Jason, she filled his mind with tales of malevolence, fueling his paranoia and hatred. "The world out there is dangerous, my son," she would say, keeping him away from other children and school. Jason, feeling trapped and isolated, sought refuge on the shores of the lake. The dark water beckoned him, as if there were a calling deep within. One day, trying to join the other boys, he approached the water, only to be pushed in by Greg and his friends. They laughed as he struggled against the icy depths. "You don't belong here," they yelled, while Jason drowned, his life slipping away beneath the surface that would become his tomb. They say the lake holds more than tranquil waters and lost memories. Beneath the surface, something deeper sleeps, something tragic, something that cannot die. Crystal Lake is a place shrouded in mystery and terror. Once a vibrant refuge filled with laughter and joy, it now stands as a silent cemetery of forgotten memories. The dark waters of the lake reflect the moonlight, but offer no comfort. They whisper stories of past tragedies, while the wind rustles through the trees, as if the very land mourns what has transpired. Local legends speak of a boy who drowned, a child whose spirit found no rest. They say he returned to seek vengeance, and those who dare to invade his territory vanish into the depths. As campfires crackle on warm nights, locals exchange nervous glances, knowing that darkness holds more than mere silence. Jason's tragedy did not end with his death. His mother's lament echoed through the nights, imbuing the lake with a sinister power. After his demise, Jason rose again, not as an innocent child, but as an unstoppable force, a spirit consumed by pain and rage. He hid in the shadows, watching the world that had rejected him, waiting for the moment to exact his revenge. The following summer brought a group of teenagers to the camp. Among them were Greg, now an arrogant adolescent; Sarah, a sensitive girl who felt the lake's sorrow; Mike, a loyal and protective friend; and Lisa, a curious and carefree young woman. The group was excited, but Sarah couldn't shake off a feeling of discomfort. The tales of the drowned boy loomed over them, but Greg, ever cynical, brushed off the warnings. As they camped, strange occurrences began to unfold. One of the teens, Ben, mysteriously vanished. The others started to sense that the legends might have some truth to them. The light-hearted atmosphere quickly turned into a nightmare. At night, they heard whispers and the sound of snapping branches, but Greg insisted it was just animals. Sarah felt the presence of something evil nearby. On the second night, as a storm approached, the group decided to take shelter in the cabin. During the tempest, the electricity failed, plunging them into darkness. Greg, trying to maintain control, suggested they play a game of scary stories. "Tell us your legends about the lake," he challenged. Stories flowed, but Sarah felt a chill as she realized they were having fun at the expense of a tragic past. The light-hearted mood turned to horror when Mike went outside to check on the situation. and disappeared. Panic engulfed the group, but Greg, dismissing the gravity of the situation, insisted they search for him. He must have just gotten lost, he said, but insecurity was evident in his eyes. As they searched, Jason lurked in the shadows, waiting for his chance. The group, divided and terrified, began to feel the weight of Jason's presence. Sarah, now desperate, convinced the others to confront the legend. Armed only with flashlights and courage, they made their way to the lake. "If he really exists, we need to face this," Sarah said, her voice trembling. As they reached the lake's edge, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. The silence was deafening. "Jason, are you here?" Sarah shouted, but only the echo of her own voice responded. Greg, still skeptical, nervously laughed. "This is just a story. It can't be real." Before they could collect themselves, Jason emerged, stepping out of the shadows like a nightmare mud flesh. His presence was overwhelming, a monster risen from the depths. Greg attempted to fight back, but Jason was fast and brutal. Terror gripped the group as screams echoed through the forest. As the struggle unfolded, Sarah caught a glimpse of Jason, a distant memory of his childhood. She saw a lonely, sad boy lost in a world that despised him. Understanding his pain, she cried out, "Jason, we're not here to hurt you." But her words were lost in the storm of terror that surrounded them. In a final act of bravery, Greg tried to distract Jason so the others could escape. However, he was quickly seized and dragged beneath the water. Sarah and Lisa, horrified, managed to flee, but not without carrying the scars of the experience. The waters of Crystal Lake were forever changed. Sarah, now the sole survivor, returned to the site years later, seeking to understand what had happened. The legends had spread, and Jason's figure had become a symbol of fear and tragedy. She realized he was not merely a killer. He had become an embodiment of pain and trauma. Sitting on the lake's shore, she gazed into the dark waters, knowing that while she had escaped, Jason was still there, waiting for those who dared to intrude. He reflected the internal struggles everyone faced, a reminder that pain is never truly forgotten. And so as long as fear exists, Jason Voorhees will always rise again, ready to claim more souls for the depths, keeping the legend alive. Years passed, but Jason's legend never faded. Stories continued to be told around campfires, and tourists still ventured to Crystal Lake, challenging the unknown. Yet those who heard the tales knew that beneath the tranquil waters, something deeper awaited, a haunting echo of tragedy and terror that could never be forgotten.